Greetings and welcome back to the Galley of the Sun. So today we're going to do something Mexican, but not quite. What we're going to make is Copycat Taco Bell Chalupas. Probably my favorite item on the Taco Bell menu. Taco pizza's awful good, but I do love a good chalupa. So chalupas, a traditional chalupa that is made in Mexico, is going to be made out of masa. And it's not going to be in the taco shell shape that we notice here in the United States at Taco Bell. So they take the masa and get a real thin layer, and they put it over a mold, which ends up giving it a little indentation, like a little boat shape. And that's how they do their chalupas down there. But here in the US, those big, puffy, crispy on the outside, soft on the inside chalupa shells, I absolutely love them, and I'm hoping this turns out great. It's a lot more like Navajo fry bread than it is a taco shell or the traditional chalupas that they have in Mexico. So let's go ahead and get started, which would be great. So we're going to do a little bit of working, not quite baking because we're going to fry it, but making a dough. And typically when I do that, I end up covered with white stuff and look like the lead character from Scarface. But it's not going to happen today. First of all, we put most of our dry ingredients together. Of our 2.5 cups of flour that you need, and all the amounts are down in the description, we're going to take 2 cups of that and put it into our bowl and mix that with our baking powder and our salt. Get that all whisked together. Now we switch to a spoon. We mix in our oil. And then we start pouring our cup of milk in there, which I didn't get out. All right, now we're going to stir in all of our milk. Fully incorporated. Should end up with a very, very, very wet dough at that point. Okay, and to that we're going to add our last half cup of flour. And then you're going to have to do some judgment there. If you think it's too sticky, it should be a good dough, not super sticky, but if you think it's too sticky, add a little bit more flour. Do you think it's too dry? Then add a little bit of milk. Just pick some point where you're happy. Otherwise, you're going to end up with about 60 pounds of dough or no flour or no milk in your house. Okay, at this point, I'm going to switch to my hands. Now, as we're in this stage and getting that last bit of flour in there, we don't want to work this dough too much. Otherwise, it's not going to give us our soft center like we want with our crispy outsides. Okay, ready to add the last of that. Okay, we're going to knead this with our hands for a little bit until we get this fully incorporated. All right, pretty happy with that. Now we're going to shape that into a cylinder, what's going to make it easy for us to get 8 equal pieces out of. Fantastic. What we want to end up with is about 8 discs that are 6 inches in diameter. If you do it to that point, they won't be too thin, they won't be too thick. They'll be just right to give us what we're looking for. Throw a little bit of flour down. Get this back into a bowl. Shape it with our hands at first. And then we'll get it rolled out. All right, now repeat that 7 times and it's on to the next step. We'll see you then. All right, got them all rolled out. They aren't perfect circles. You know my baking skills. But one last thing we need to do to them all before we get them into the oil is get a fork and poke a bunch of holes in there. That's going to keep them from curling up on you, or at least minimize it. Once I get done forculating all of these, then it'll be time to cook them. We'll see you then. Alrighty, so I got some vegetable oil here in a skillet heated to 350 degrees. Now we're gonna go ahead and fry these up. We're gonna get these into a taco shell-like shape, like what they have at Taco Bell. If you wanna do it like a tostada, almost more traditional Mexican, except we're making it out of flour vice masa, then go ahead and do that. Remember always to lay it away from you, safety first. We're going to let that go for a little bit, and then we're going to get it folded into the shape that we want. So basically what we're frying right now is going to be the inside of that shell. For this trick, you'll need a wooden spoon and some tongs. Nothing could possibly go wrong. All right, once you're liking how that inside's looking, then we're going to take it, flip it, and then get it into our taco shape that we're looking for. After a while, you won't have to hold it anymore. All right, and then if you have a badass taco holder like this, use it. Put it in there. And we'll move on to the next one. Then we'll move on to the next step. We'll see you then. All right, we're all done frying up the chalupa shells. As you can see here, I experimented a little bit with different times, and yeah, they're not all perfect. This ain't gonna be the prettiest meal that you ever did put together, but hopefully it will be very delicious. Now I'm gonna put together the filling. Chalupas from Taco Bell, you can get them 3 ways. You can get them with steak, you can get them with chicken, or you can get them with ground beef. We're going with the ground beef. We're gonna take our aged ground beef, put some Mexican seasoning in there, and get that ready, and then we're gonna put together chalupas and find out how this works out. See you then. Then we're gonna continue on like you would do with any type of ground beef taco meat. I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon per pound, so 2 in this case, of seasoning to it. Love the Cattleman's Grill Mexicano. And then I'm gonna add about a cup of water, let that simmer until it is dinner time. In the meantime, we'll get some tomatoes cut up, we'll get some cheese out, some shredded lettuce, and we'll be ready to put this together. See you then. All right, so chalupas are done, got the shell together. Because I've been conditioned by American fast food taco places, to me, a taco has a crunchy corn shell, refried beans, then a layer of sour cream and or guacamole, then meat, then cheese, then some lettuce. A chalupa doesn't have refried beans to me because I've been conditioned by Taco Bell. Taco Bell. So anyway, I have got my layer of sour cream on the bottom, some of our ground taco meat on top of that, a little bit of cheese, a little bit of shredded lettuce, a little bit of diced tomatoes, and a little bit of cilantro. So let's give this a try and see how we did. That recipe did it. It nailed the chalupa shell, which is really the star of this whole show. Tastes just like one from Taco Bell. I made some that were more crispy. I made some that were less crispy to try and decide which one I liked better. This one was right in the middle. Yeah, fantastic. So I hope you like what you saw today. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and never miss an episode. Yeah, definitely one you want to try. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Until we see you next time, fair winds and following seas.